Tesla's doing something really weird with the Cybertruck that I just don't really understand. And I gotta admit, the more time that goes on, the more and more I think Tesla probably regrets doing the Cybertruck the way they did it. First of all, like, we just got the Matrix LED update on my Model 3, and it's pretty nice. Like, it's able to mask out vehicles on the road, and I have that on a 2022 Model 3, and yet we recently discovered that the Cybertruck does not get Matrix LEDs. Why does it not get this new update where the headlights adapt based on the vehicles in front of you so that you can improve visibility without blinding other drivers? Well, it's because they had to embed the headlights into the very, very front of the truck, and because you can't put it on a moving piece like the frunk, you have to put it below the frunk on this little bumper that collects snow and obstructs the headlights. And because that little thin strip above the bumper is so narrow, they couldn't make the Matrix LED headlights work. So there's something now that the Model 3 and Model Y, which are like half the price, have in regards to headlight functionality that the Cybertruck does not get. Then factor in the recall with all of these cant rails, especially when you consider what Dirty Tesla brought up, which is that a bunch of people wrapped their Cybertrucks. So while Tesla may cover the cost of the cant rail replacement, they're probably not covering the cost and time that it takes to rewrap the Cybertruck after you get the top recalled. So that's a big mistake. But then we get into autonomous features. This was a detail that I didn't realize had gotten as bad as it did. So the Cybertruck has come down in price several times, right? It's gotten more affordable with the rear-wheel drive option and now qualifying for the federal tax credit, thank God. So we've seen the Cybertruck go down to like, $72,000 with the credit, and then with the cheaper variants down to $62,000. And one of the best selling points of Teslas for many years has been their autonomous driving capabilities, right? And a lot of people don't want to spend an extra $8,000 on FSD, but we've been able to say, yeah, FSD is a hard sell when you have basic autopilot, which kind of covers the vast majority of what people want to use autonomous driving for anyway. Very handy feature. It's been available on the base Model 3 since 2017 when that launched. It's been well known for a while. When you buy a Tesla, for free, you can just pull down twice on that little stalk or press twice on the scroll wheel, and the car will center itself in the lane, and it'll slow down for cars in front of you and speed up when they speed up. Autopilot's a great basic free feature, and it turns out when Tesla stopped offering the Foundation series, they never actually brought the basic autopilot functionality to the Cybertruck. So while in the past, I've recommended to you guys like, hey, the Cybertruck got cheaper, it qualifies for the credit, or here's the longer range option now that's rear-wheel drive, I had no idea until recently that those cheaper options actually did not even include basic autopilot. Of course, if you pay for full self-driving, you get autopilot and much, much more. You get the turning on city streets, you get the automatic lane changing and summon and all that. But at least according to Dirty Tesla, who tests FSD probably more than anybody, he said that the Cybertruck performs much, much worse on full self-driving than it does on his Model 3 or Model Y, which makes me question if FSD actually scales as easily as Tesla thought, because they've always had the mindset of, oh yeah, we can just throw it on all of our cars and it'll perform great on all of them. But now it gets really interesting because Tesla has changed the wording for basic autopilot on their website. It used to say that, the free lane keep functionality of the basic autopilot was available for all Teslas. Now they have changed the wording to say it is now a free feature on the Model S, 3, X, and Y. They have officially moved the Cybertruck out of qualifying for basic free autopilot, which in itself would be kind of frustrating, but they are kind of alleviating this frustration for a lot of early Cybertruck owners by just giving them all free FSD for a full year. So that's basically a $1,200 value, and this is not just for influencers or content creators. Tesla's basically just reaching out to anybody who has a Cybertruck that doesn't have full self-driving and saying, hey, by the way, here's a complimentary 12 months of FSD, which is actually quite generous of them in my opinion. I mean, yes, they are offering it to people who spent $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 on their Cybertrucks, but I'm more concerned for the long term. Like, why is it so difficult for Tesla to just roll out basic autopilot to the Cybertruck? Does it have something to do with steer-by-wire? Does it have something to do with the camera positioning and the size of the Cybertruck that makes them feel like we can't just port over the basic autopilot software from our existing Teslas? We've known for a while now that it's very old code. They haven't really touched it for years. All of the autonomous driving team has been focusing on trying to make robo-taxis a reality. It's been all hands on deck with FSD for quite some time, so they don't spend much time or energy trying to improve the free features, the things that don't actually bring in revenue for the company. So I guess I understand why Tesla hasn't prioritized it, and I still think they could probably make the free version of Autopilot, which I still have on my Model 3 and I still use pretty regularly. It makes mistakes all the times, like trying to stay perfectly centered between the lines on the freeway, so you get this drift when the highway doesn't have a perfectly marked line all the time, or it accelerates too quickly in stop and go traffic, or it brakes too late. Things that have all been fixed on normal FSD if you subscribe to it or get a free trial, but then as soon as you go back to free Autopilot, the performance, even for basic traffic driving, just feels much worse. I understand not tweaking that, but what is stopping them from just porting that over to the Cybertruck? I don't know exactly what it is, but to me that sounds like a much simpler solution than giving out FSD free for a year. In my opinion, that's an indication that there's bigger problems at hand, and I'm gonna remind everybody of this anytime we have the debate on should you buy full self-driving outright. Is it worth $8,000? Absolutely not, because you don't get to take advantage of all of these free trials that Tesla just keeps handing out. You know, for a while they were giving a month there and a month there, and I was like, hey, if you're paying month to month, you just don't have to pay that month. So that saves you $100 every time there's a free trial. Whereas if you paid the $8,000 or $15,000 for it up front, you don't get to take advantage of those free trials. And now, especially with the case of the Cybertruck, I feel really bad if anybody paid the $72,000, then paid the $8,000 to get FSD after they took delivery, and then found out a month later, by the way, Tesla's giving out $1,200 worth of FSD that you're just never gonna see a credit for. Doesn't appear they're gonna be refunding people or splitting the difference to anyone who recently purchased FSD, but all the more reason, I still think if you love full self-driving and you want to keep using it, that's fine, but the membership, at least right now, is so much more worth it. You'd have to pay non-stop and have no free trials offered for like 6 or 7 years before buying it outright actually saves you money, and compare what you could do by just spending $100 a month and then taking that additional $7,900 you've got lying around and just investing that in a high dividend stock, or throw it in Tesla stock for all I care. Not investment advice, but you're probably gonna outperform the money you would save by paying $8,000 today. So I really hope the problem doesn't come down to steer-by-wire, because I know Tesla plans on offering that with future vehicle models. You know, if they sell a Cybercab with a steering wheel and pedals, it would really suck if they found out we can't add basic autopilot to that vehicle. You either have to pay $100 a month for FSD, or you just get cruise control. You don't get highway assist anymore. I feel like that would tick off a lot of Tesla's core audience, and personally, like, I understand that software is complicated and there's a lot of intricacies to it, but it doesn't really sound that complicated in my view. So there must be some kind of core fundamental difference between how FSD performs on the Model Y and the Model 3 versus how it performs on the Cybertruck. Maybe it's not that easy because it's nothing but neural nets and it's all AI being trained now to just check box different features. Be like, okay, perform just like normal, but now don't change lanes, or now don't navigate through roundabouts. Maybe it's not that easy to check these boxes because they're not manually coding anymore. They're just kind of feeding this giant AI beast as much data as they can, and it's not easy to communicate with that beast and be like, hey, can you just do autopilot now and not do all of the rest of the cool autonomous driving stuff? So very bizarre to me, and once again makes the rear-wheel drive Model Y by far the best value in Tesla's lineup. Got 357 miles of range. It's basically half the price of a Cybertruck. Way better efficiency, so it's going to be much cheaper to use, and the base Model Y comes with free autopilot if you don't feel like paying for FSD, whereas the Cybertruck, you might get a free year of FSD, but after that it basically, I think, is going to turn into pay $100 a month or you just get cruise control and that's it. How do you guys feel about Tesla's way of handling all this? I definitely missed that point where they just decided autopilot's not coming to the Cybertruck, but is there some rationale here? Do you think Cybertrucks should just come with free FSD for life? I think they should, personally, if this is what they're going to cost, but I kind of like Ryan McCaffrey's theory that he recently floated that maybe giving away a year of FSD is kind of a we're sorry for the imminent price cut that the Cybertruck is probably going to have, because they are not selling very well and they keep cranking them out of the factory. So in order to move inventory, I think there's going to be some pretty drastic Cybertruck price cuts in the not too distant future. We'll see. Feel free to let me know what you think's going to happen down in the comments below, and thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.